All right, well, there we are. Kufar Akbar, everybody. Welcome to another Monday edition of the Crescent discussion group. This is a live streamed show dedicated to rightly dividing the truth between Christianity and Islam. I'm your host, Eric Thekeffer, coming to you live from the Calvinist desk at the Kappa Cave here in Dar al-Harb, Kafiristan, every Monday at 5 p.m. 5:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Welcome back. We have had a little sabbatical here, not at my doing, I guess a little bit we can say, but 3 weeks ago, my internet started blowing up and I brought a tech in and they had to run a cable because the cable was not pushing enough DBs or SUBs or SUVs. I don't know what the heck it was doing. And it wasn't at where I am. It was like 2 miles down the road. So they had to amp it up down. So anyway, it looks like I'm back. They still haven't finished installing it in the backyard here. They got to dig a trench and run it clear out to the highway, which is another, it's just a long story. But anyway, I want to say Happy Veterans Day to you, Eric, and to all the veterans, like Sharon watching.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Why isn't Sharon watching? Why isn't she here? Do you know why she's not here?
She's not feeling good, but she wants to watch.
Okay. Well, I hope you're feeling better, Sharon. We miss you and want you back. And happy Veterans Day to you. But last week, I wasn't here last week because, folks, I have been on vacation for the last, I'm not bragging, but last 12 days. Last weekend, we were at a softball tournament down in Chattanooga. And after we got done there, my wife and I went down to Florida for a week, tough duty. And then we drove up to Atlanta last weekend, and we were at another softball tournament all weekend, and we got in late last night. So it's been a whirlwind of being out. So I apologize for that, but we are back today. Today we are going to be we're going to be looking at the election results. I'm sure everybody has an opinion of what they want to talk about the elections. I got some things that I want to say about it. And then we'll get into that topic that we were discussing when we left and my computer was crashing and the internet was anyway. And so Islamic slavery, we'll get to that. And if there's any other topics y'all want to bring up, post them in chat. Rad, can you do me a favor? Do you know how to pin the show, the StreamYard link in the chat? Do you know how to do that, Darcy, over on YouTube? Or maybe I can do it. I'll just.
No, we can't do it. Only you can do it because you're the owner. I would have to log in as you, which I can do or does.
Don't you do that anyway?
No, not really. I try not to.
No,
yeah. Hold on. If I do, Hold on, let me see.
I'm right. I'm there.
Crescent, you're there?
Here we are.
Hold on.
I got this, I think.
Okay.
Okay, there's the show link. Let me pin it. Bada bing. All right. It's the done deal. Y'all see that in chat?
Cool.
I hope so. Okay. All right. So let's start off with this little salute to our veterans. Veterans Day is a celebration of our country, of the service of our soldiers, and Veterans Day is not to be mistaken with Memorial Day, which is those who have given their life in service to our country. Veterans Day is a holiday set aside to recognize the service of those people who have served in the military, regardless of their service, whether it was in combat, whether it was just in peacetime, whether it was in reserve or National Guard status, regardless of the type of service.
Actually, if I may just interject here, okay. The reason why it's on November 11th, okay, just to let you know, it used to be called Armistice Day. There's a reason for that. And it is actually celebrated through all European nations, well, Western European nations, specifically the United States of America, Great Britain, and France, okay, as the day that the war to end all wars actually ended. Because on the 11th day of the 11th month, at the 11th hour, all the guns on the Western Front went silent. And we have peace.
Right. Yeah. 11/11/11. We as a matter of fact, that was always a learning point that I would bring up to our students is, why do we celebrate it on this day? And it's because it's when all the war to end all wars, the Great War, not the World War, but the Great War, as they called it. And then we lost our collective minds again, short 20 years later.
So well for us. But no, so in England, it's called Poppy Day. Where they hand out the poppies.
Yeah.
And that's why if you notice when you drive around today or like the last couple of weeks, you have the veterans out there selling you the poppies for a donation. You can put them in your car.
Yeah, that's as a matter of fact, if you go to the Washington Mall by the Lincoln not the Lincoln Memorial. Well, it is by the Lincoln Memorial, but they set up a mobile booth there every Memorial Day weekend. And one of the things that they do is they hand out poppies, our little flowers that you wear on your lapel or wherever, to commemorate the soldiers. And it's for all soldiers. It isn't just for World War I. But Veterans Day, thank you all who have served. And this is for you, I think. How do I do this? There we go.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, young rockets rattling, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land under the Because we are the prey. Yes, we are the prey. We'll fight you in name, the name of the prey. We are the US of A. For those unaware, that flag is still there. It's our future to save. Stand of the prey, the US of A. Oh, Satan's that star spangled banner, yeah, wave for the land of the free, and the
All right. Well, thank you, Madison Rising, for that rendition of the Star Spangled Banner. I was telling Rad before the show started that if I'm going to run like in a 5K or a 10K or a half marathon or whatever, I would always play that rendition of the Star Spangled Banner at the beginning when I started running, because it kind of gets the pump going. Madison Rising, you guys don't know, is from England, of all places, which is, I guess, is kind of quaint. Do you guys know where the melody for the Star Spangled Banner comes from? Anybody? Maybe in chat? Anybody? Melody? You know what I'm talking? You guys know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't know where they come from.
Anybody there? It comes from a British drinking song they used to sing in pubs. The melody. I don't know what the words to it was, but they used the melody. Yeah, it was a drinking song.
Well, I know he wrote it. I know he wrote it in the evacuation of Washington, D.C. And
Fort McHenry, or
Henry?
Fort McHenry. Yeah, I think it was McHenry or Henry. I can't remember. Francis Scott Key, of course. But anyway, that's it's a little apropos for Madison Rising. Okay, so again, Veterans Day. Thank you to all of our veterans out there. When we think about the freedoms that we enjoy, the freedom that we were not given our freedoms by veterans, we're not given our freedoms by our country. Our freedoms, according to the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, are from God. They're not from any man.
Exactly, and that's what people fail to understand. They think the Constitution gives us our rights. No, the Constitution enshrines our God-given rights and limits government's interaction with those rights.
It defines them, and then it requires. If you read the Declaration, I don't know if you guys, because we always think of the Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths, we tell evidence that all men are created equal and endowed by the Creator. That's the only thing they know. When they look at the rest of what Jefferson is writing there, he's saying that if governments are established by men to protect the right, to protect those rights. And any government that does not protect those rights, then this is what they were justifying. They deserve to be overthrown. This is the justification for fighting England. And the same is true today. If a government does not protect your rights, it deserves to be thrown out. Now, you can either interpret that as arrested to the ballot box, Well, in 1776, they didn't interpret it through the ballot box. They interpreted it as going and busting a cap in their butts. That's what they interpreted that. So
it was gangsters back then. OGs. That's
yeah,
George Washington, the OG.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So again, veterans that participate on the show, Miss Sharon. I don't know if Steve is here. I don't know if Steve's ever been in the service before.
No, I haven't been.
No? Okay.
I
well,
tried to, but they didn't want me.
Well, he's been shot at.
Yeah, I've been
in
shot
service to Christ in Lebanon. This is true.
He got his guitar shot at by the Israelis.
Yeah, he's holding up his guitar. Don't shoot me, and they're shooting his guitar. Yeah. No, I think it was a little more than that. According to his book, if you read his book, what's your name of your book again, Steve?
The Apostate.
The Apostate. There you go. Okay. So if you read The Apostate, it's on Amazon. I think it's in Kindle format.
Yes.
Is that what? Yeah, that's where I read it. I have it on Kindle. Is it free?
No,
it's
almost.
not free. I had to pay money, but it's okay. It's good money spent. Money well. Yeah. Okay, so let's get into what the show is about today. We're going to talk about the election, some particulars about it, and then we're going to be talking about Islamic slavery, hopefully, by the end of the show. Okay, so for the presidential election, I want to point something out. I were running through the numbers prior to the show. All of the votes have not been counted yet. I'm not sure if people are aware of this, but when we look at the popular vote, and we know that the election is settled through the Electoral College, we got that. And if you don't got that and you don't understand the reason for the Electoral College, I would suggest that you pick up a history book or take a civics class. The purpose of the Electoral College is not to repress the vote. The purpose of the Electoral College is to ensure that the smaller states, and this is when you start looking at, my God, I can't believe I'm doing this. When you start looking at when the founding fathers called the Constitutional Convention, we had already been a country, had won our independence from England for, let's see, that was 1783 was the treaty. And so this is 1787. They start looking at, okay, let's call a Constitutional Convention because the Articles of Confederation, that was our first constitution per se, and it was one state, one vote. One state, one vote. The federal government, there was no president. The federal government didn't have the power to tax. It didn't have the power to enforce laws. It didn't even have the power to regulate interstate commerce. They couldn't do anything. It was so pathetically weak because the founding fathers during the Revolution were afraid of a strong centralized government. It's kind of like the opposite of what we had today. So they call a Constitutional Convention, and one of the things that they wanted to avoid at the Constitutional Convention was the centralization of power. They wanted to ensure that the states maintained their powers. They wanted to ensure, at least the small states, wanted to, if they were going to give up their vote, because remember, Delaware, which had like 6 people and 3 goats in it, had just as much say-so as Virginia, which was the largest state at the time, and New York. And the bigger states didn't like it. So this is when they went to the Constitutional Convention and said, okay, how are we going to elect a president? How is the president going to be? What is this going to look like? This is why we have the Electoral College. This is why we have a bicameral legislature. 2 senators from each state. You have equal representation. However, the larger states in the House and the lower house have more representation to where the where the bills originate. So before I start losing the audience, everybody gets boring. Little civics lesson.
Let me interject here real quickly. Here, okay. So no, just for some color, okay, on this. During the Articles of Confederation, where one state had 1 vote, guess what? The problem is that they didn't want to be taxed. The slave owning states did not want to be taxed by population, okay, because that's what they were taxing on. Okay, each state, okay, per population had to pay a certain tax. Well, the problem with Confederation, okay, the problem with the slave states, they had more slaves than they had actual people. okay, are actually free citizens. So they were like, oh my God, you're going to tax us by our slaves? No, we cannot have that. So therefore, okay, slaves are not human beings. But then when we came with the Constitution Electoral College, where everything, all your electoral votes, your congressional districts are all based on population, they said, well, wait. Now we want to include our slaves, okay, as actual citizens, but not to be taxed. And that's where the compromise, and people think this compromise by calling slaves 2/3 of a human being is horrible in the Constitution. And I would agree.
It's race-based. That's race-based.
Oh, exactly. But okay, on the surface level, yes, that sounds bad. But the thing is, the free states realize that if you gave slaves 100, if you counted slaves in the population as free citizens, that would mean that the slave states would have more congressional seats and more electoral college votes. So the compromise was to limit that power. Okay? This is important because now we go to today. What are the Democrats doing? The slave owners of then? And what are the slave owners doing today? They are importing in illegal immigrants, not so much so they can vote. They actually don't care about if they can vote. Yeah, no, that would be their dream if they could do that. And I'm telling you, Republicans are missing out on an opportunity on this. Okay? But either way, no. What it is, they are importing all these illegal aliens into these swing states. Why? Because then you expand their congressional districts. Then you expand, okay, their electoral votes. In other words, you give them more power based on these illegal aliens that cannot vote in the first place. Do you see what's happening here? Okay, and so they don't have to be given the right to vote. They just have to be there and be counted as well full citizens, even though they're not full citizens. And guess what? That's how you turn a purple state into a blue state overnight.
Well, the three of course, you're talking about the 3/5 compromise, which dealt with apportionment of electors and seats in Congress, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if a lot of people don't realize that slavery, the international slave trade, the importation of slaves was banned in the Constitution. It banned it 20 years after the ratification. So the Constitution was ratified in 1788, was it? I think 1780. Yeah, 1788. Yeah, it was ratified in 1788, and so the importation of slaves from Africa ended in 1808. So it banned the import. But the problem with this, okay, we're way off topic.
We're digressing, but no, I just wanted to bring this up. The importance of this, the importance of population. Okay, and, delegates
because we didn't want them to just perpetually import more and more slaves to increase their population. So they banned it after a 20-year period. Slavery was dead at the inception of our country. The only reason why slavery survived and grew after that is the invention of cotton gin, phosphopenite. That's the only reason why slavery grew.
But let's irony of ironies on that one. But go ahead. Yes. Go ahead.
Right. Okay, so let's go to the popular vote. Up on the screen, Rad has put down the popular vote in 2008. Barack Obama. What are you doing?
I moved it. Yeah. So go ahead. So what do you want?
Okay, so the popular vote. Look at that number. Barack Obama won 69 million votes. One of the most popular elections in U.S. history. Up to that point, Barack Obama had won more votes than any other president or presidential candidate in U.S. history. All right, now put up the 2012 election result, the popular votes from that. Are you at 270 to win there? Is that the website you're at?
Yep, that's it.
So notice, Barack Obama lost. You can say essentially he had 66 million votes. The most popular president in our nation's history up to this point, got 66 million votes. All right, go to 2016. 2016. All right, so look at how many votes Hillary Clinton got. Let's just say, round it up, she got 66 million votes, but Trump only gets 63 million votes. 63 million. So any vote after that in the 2020 election is going to be, you would think that since both of those candidates, Biden campaigning from his flippin' basement, and nobody really liked him to begin with, he was just kind of fell into the role because he was the only one that people could halfway stand. I mean, you had, think of who you had running for president. Who did you have running for president that year? You had Kamala, you had Bernie Sanders. Who else was running for president that year that he was competing against? Do you remember? Do you even remember?
Actually, no. So here's the funny thing. Bernie Sanders should have won the 2016 Democratic Convention and the 2020 Democratic Convention. He was in the lead in all of it, and they cheated. The Democrats actually cheated. This is very important. They all acknowledge they cheated. They rigged it against Bernie Sanders. They did all kinds of dirty tricks against Bernie Sanders. Actually, 2016, they were so open about rigging it against Bernie Sanders to elect their queen, Hillary Clinton, that the Bernie Bros, you remember the Bernie Bros, the 20-something males that were going to vote for Bernie Sanders, okay, were so pissed off, they ended up voting for Donald Trump. I know several of them. They're like, yeah, I got all the Bernie Bros stuff. I'm a Bernie Bro, but I voted for Donald Trump in 2016. Now, they didn't do the same in 2020, but I'm just saying the whole reason Trump got elected is because of the Bernie Bros, because the Democrats rigged their own primary in 2016.
Well, look who they had voting. Who they had? Okay, they had Biden. They had Biden, Sanders, Tulsi Gabbard.
Which I love. I would vote for her.
Elizabeth Warren. Listen, Elizabeth Warren, Pocahontas. Michael Bloomberg, Amy Klobuchar, when the heck is she? Was I remember her, but I don't even remember. She was a Minnesota Democratic Farmer Labor Party, whatever. Buttigieg actually won the Iowa.
What is wrong with you people? You never grew up in Chicago with Polish names. It's Buttigieg, Buttigieg.
Cory Booker, Julian Castro. Okay, so they had all these clowns running in that election. And then finally, Biden kind of falls out of the tree out of all of them that they could tolerate. And he becomes president. He becomes the nominee. Now, if you remember also, his vice presidential candidate or his vice presidential running mate, He said, this is what he said: I am going to select a woman of color. So Kamala is nothing and was nothing more than a DEI. What is it, DIE or DEI? DEI.
DEI.
That's all she was, based on her gender and the tone of her, the color of her skin. That's the only reason why he picked her. Or let me put it this way: that was the deciding factor of why he picked her. And nobody makes a big deal out of that. That is scary that our vice president, who almost became president according to the polls anyway.
Here's the funny thing: she was such a horrible candidate that she dropped out even before the first primary in Iowa. She got 0 votes. She's the only presidential candidate in the Democratic Party that literally got 0 votes ever in their conventions, either in 2016, 2020. I'm sorry, no, she didn't run in 2016. Either in 2020 or 2024, she got 0 votes. Okay, but here's the funny thing. Okay, and nobody gets this. Okay, I'm sorry. As a white dude in America, I think African American or Black American. I think somebody who's a direct descendant of Democratic-owned slavery, or at the bare minimum, somebody who's a descendant of somebody who suffered under Democrat oppression during Jim Crow and segregation. Okay, not someone who is a firstborn in America. Okay, from a wealthy Hindu woman from India who married a wealthy Jamaican landowner who was a direct descendant of the Scottish, the biggest slave owner in Jamaica, a Scottish man by the name of, I've got his first name, but Harris. So they get the Harris. He's actually a direct descendant, okay? All right? The largest slave owner in Jamaica, Scottish man, Irish, I think, okay? When the British government freed the slaves in Jamaica, they gave his family 25 million pounds at that day, which would be the equivalent to $1 billion. They have towns named after this family. Okay, this is no joke. This is an extremely wealthy family. Anyway, dude comes over here, studies. He's a Marxist, literally. He is a Marxist. He's a professor of Marxist economics at Stanford University. He's now semi-retired. But I am just saying, this woman not only did not grow up in the United States, she grew up in socialist Canada, living in a commune mansion, okay, with all their hippie buddies through until she turned 18, and then her mom finally moved her back to California. This is not an American. This is not
But I want to.
of America, of any Black, Hispanic, Latino, whatever. She is not an American. She did not grow up as an American. She is not an American.
Yeah,
Damn, we almost elected her. No, I'm sorry, Steve. Go ahead.
She may still be president. You guys, I just want you to know that there was an article today of one of her spokespeople who said that it would be the right thing right now because of Joe Biden's condition for him to resign and let her become president for the next 30 days or 2 months.
I saw that. That was actually it was on the news too. Yeah. So that, I mean, think about that. How scary would that be? That he just to have her become president, to say, well, we had our first female president.
Well, that would be a thing for her self-esteem, because that would mean she wouldn't have to be at the inauguration of Donald Trump. So anyway,
what do you mean she wouldn't have to be? Say that. Hold on.
Because if you're the loser, like Hillary, when she lost, she had to be at Donald Trump's inauguration. That's part of the transfer, acknowledgement of the coronation of the.
Trump didn't attend Biden's inauguration.
Yeah, but he broke the rules. He broke the rules. He was supposed to have been there, but he didn't.
Right. You're absolutely right, because that is the tradition for the outgoing president to attend it. There was one other one, I think, where a sitting president did not attend the inauguration of the incoming president, and I tell you, it might have been John Adams in Jefferson. I'm going to Google this. You guys go ahead and talk, but go ahead and start thinking about the 2016 numbers there, Brad.
Okay, well, here's the thing, Steve, on that. I actually posted before this, after Trump secured the election, which, by the way, for the record, I had no doubt ever. I had no doubt.
Shut up, you lying sack! You sent me all those 5 messages. I mean, he said, "I'm worried, Eric." I'm like, "Shut up, man." Trump underperforms the polls. He's got this in the bag. Take it easy.
Anyway,
middle of the night, in my bedroom, my computer going ding, 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 because that's when I get a Skype message. That's what I get from him.
Anyway, regardless of what Eric misrepresents, happened, I had no doubts he would win. My faith is strong. Anyway,
there was 5 of them. There's been 5 of them. Okay, hold on. Listen to this.
Okay.
Right. John Adams, who hated Thomas Jefferson. John Quincy Adams, because John Quincy Adams absolutely hated Andrew Jackson. John Quincy Adams, if you don't remember, the reason why he got put in was because of the corrupt bargains, 1824. Jackson had won the popular vote, had the most electoral votes, even though he did not have a majority. He did have the most, and it was because of Henry Clay swayed the Congress to vote for Adams to put him in. And then Adams didn't attend the 1828 election, or the inauguration of Andrew Jackson, because Jackson turned around just like Trump, ran again and then beat him. And then it was Martin Van Buren,
Original MAGA. Original old school MAGA.
Jackson's second vice president, because John C. Calhoun stabbed him in the back over it was a tariff, the tariff of abomination, and he went against his own president. So Jackson threw Johnny C. and replaced him with Marty B. And then Martin Van Buren didn't attend. It would have been William Henry Harrison's. He would have been the opposition, Tippecanoe, William Henry Harrison's inauguration. And then Andrew Johnson did not attend Ulysses S. Grant's inauguration. So it's been almost 150 years. Donald Trump finally breaks tradition again and says, I ain't coming to support you because you cheated, Joe Biden. And that's what
which we will show.
Topic, Rad. Let's go to the numbers. Back to the numbers.
Okay. Back to numbers. Okay. So this is 2016. Look at 2020. What do you notice here?
Okay. All right. Right there. Popular vote. Joe Biden, 81 million. Okay. Now just keep that number in mind. And I'm going to repeat it for you.
Let's go back. No. We got to go back. 2016. 62
I'm going to go back to that, Rad. Hold
on. 65 million. Okay, just saying. Look at this. 81 million. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, look at Donald Trump's number. 74 million. All right. Go to 2024. 2024. Put the numbers up there.
Oh, it doesn't go to 2024.
Okay, I'm going to give you the numbers right now. I have the numbers.
2024. Hold on. I can give you 2024.
I got it right here.
Watching.
As of right now, Kamala Harris in the popular vote has 71 million votes. 71 million. Donald Trump has 75 million. Now that number is going to go up for both of them. And I'm going to even go out here and say Kamala is going to get more of these votes that are still outstanding than Trump, because the majority of the states, specifically California, Steve, get your crap together out there, dude. I don't know what you people are doing. I mean, hold on.
If I could tell you one thing, it's like over here, California, the House of Representatives would more than likely be red right now, except for California, because we are so careful. We care. And, we want to make sure that every single voice sometimes, listen to me, it's not just legal and illegal. It's also dead or alive. We want people's votes to count. We're not like the rest of you guys.
Okay. So in California, they only had 72.89% of the vote is in. 1 out of every 4 ballots has still not been counted in California. So I would anticipate, if you can scroll down and see if California's on there, Rad. California right now has 7.4 million votes for Harris, 4.8 million votes for Trump. You can see those numbers right there. If only less than 3/4 of the vote has been counted, you can add an additional 25% to each of those numbers. So you could say that she's legitimately going to get another 2.5 million votes out of California. So that is going to put her at about 74 million. Let's just say she's going to go up to 74 million. Now, bring that down, Rad. I'm just going to read you some numbers here. Go back to, let's just go to this screen. All right, let me just read some numbers here. Barack Obama, one of the most popular presidents in the last, let's say, 50 years. Not the best, because I had all kinds of disagreements with that guy, and I still think he's a scumbag. But he was very popular in 2008. Hope and change. Remember all this? Very articulate man, well-spoken.
Change, hope and change. I want to agree with you.
That's 69 million votes, folks. 69 million. 2012. The hope and change thing kind of meandered after Benghazi and all kinds of other Fast and Furious, all these other
all this other crap. Hillary Clinton, 2016, she gets 66 million votes. 66 million. Same as Barack Obama did in 2012. Now, in 2020, Joe Biden gets 81 million votes. Granted, Trump went up, what is that, 11 million? He's got 74 million. But here's this vote this year is going to validate those numbers. You would have had expected that Kamala, who was much more popular nationally than Biden was, Trump maintains about the same, essentially the same popularity. He gets about the same. He got 74 million in 2020. He's getting 75 million this year. That's about the same. Kamala, she's at 71 million. She's still at 10 million votes less than Biden got in 2020. So the reason why I bring this up is the next time somebody wants to call you an election denier, just say, what happened to 10 million votes? Where are those 10 million votes for a more popular candidate? You cannot tell me Joe Biden, campaigning from his basement, legitimately got that many more votes than Kamala and even Barry did in 2020. Cannot do it. You have to know deep in your soul that you're lying, because if you guys have seen Dinesh D'Souza's movie, what is it, 10,000 Mules or whatever it's called?
10,000 Mules, yeah.
Okay. He's got it on video. I mean, it's on video, for God's sake. You know, don't believe your lying eyes. There are people stuffing ballots into these ballot collection boxes, literally stuffing dozens of ballots. And they keep coming back with more to do it. Don't believe your lying eyes. You have video in the Omni Center in Atlanta. Remember, we had a water main break. We got to evacuate the entire building. They evacuated all the Republicans in the building. The Democrats stayed because just as soon as the Republicans were out, the cameras catch these people pulling suitcases out from underneath, literally pulling suitcases of ballots out from underneath the table and stuffing them into the voting machine. Don't believe your lying eyes. Also, I would add to that, no one has ever seen a bill, and it's been subpoenaed and asked for, where they had a company come in and fix that water line main break at the Omni Center. Nobody ever heard of it.
And was it? Yeah. Okay.
And if you remember all of these things, like in Atlanta, Biden barely won by just a very small percentage of the
13,000 votes. 13,000.
Yeah, 13,000. So there you go. And if you go down to Georgia, I was in Georgia the last two, because I said Chattanooga, but it was actually Georgia. You go down into Atlanta, you don't see any Harris Walsh signs up. You still see Trump signs up, but you don't see any Harris Walsh signs up. It's nuts. There's no way vote that he would have got any of those that many votes. Go ahead, Red.
Okay, so let me answer this really quickly. So you will hear from lefty or moderates or people that are election denialists, I call them, that will say, okay, so now since Trump won, that means elections, that means that the Democrats didn't cheat in 2020. My response is, no, the Democrats cheated in 2024. They just got caught. See, here's the thing that people don't understand, okay? The Republicans were totally caught off guard. They did not have a ground game in 2020. They did not have lawyers on the ground. I can show you. Look up, go Google it, okay? The Atlantic article, February of 2021, okay? How they stole the election. Well, it's not that, but it's not called that, but it's 2021. It's I forget the title of it. It's how a cabal. No, Google Atlantic article 2021 cabal, and you will find an article. And they will tell you exactly how they did it. They hired hundreds of thousands of lawyers. I'm exaggerating that point, but thousands of lawyers in these battleground states to combat any challenge that the Republicans made so they could completely get it dismissed. Okay? All right. They were ready. They were prepared. They lobbied states' attorneys, okay, and judges and all kinds of things to change election laws in real time. They actually changed the election law in Pennsylvania 3 weeks before the election. They extended, okay, when they would count, okay, mail-in ballots that were accepted without a postmark, okay, without a signature. In other words, after the election day, you could just drop off millions of votes, okay, all right, and they would have to count them, all right. They did this, okay. Now here's the thing. We know for a fact, and you can Google it, and I used to have it up, and I can probably find it for you, but you go Google it, okay, Pennsylvania, York County, voter fraud. October 31st, I believe. No, it was around the last day, whatever the last day of when they could register or what do you call it? Vote, absentee vote or whatever, or early vote. Okay, whatever the last day was. All of a sudden, several counties, including York County and several others, which I cannot remember, okay, all of a sudden got flooded with registrations and ballots, okay, that were totally fraudulent. It was traced back to a single company, okay, a ballot harvesting company or ballot get out the vote company that was run by an organization, okay, out of Mesa, Arizona, by a left-wing activist. He owns the company. Okay, he's now a councilman in Mesa, Arizona. Okay, but no. Think about this for a second. Here's what we know: 3,500 votes in York County alone were fraudulent. They caught them. Why did they catch them? Because the Republicans had spotters on the ground, trained spotters on the ground, and lawyers on the ground. We had on the ground, especially in Pennsylvania and in other states, trained lawyers, trained spotters, trained observers that, bam, we will bust you when you try to cheat. 3,500 votes in York County. Another, well, let's say 2,000 votes in the other county. That is enough. Think about how many counties there are. If you fraudulently do 1,000 here, 1,000 there, guess what? You win a state per county when it is this close. That is widespread voter fraud in Pennsylvania, linked to one Democrat operative company. Hold on, it gets worse. State elected officials. Atlanta, Georgia. What's that? Fulton County and Clayton County, Atlanta, Georgia. Deep blue strongholds. Okay? They set up a super duper secret swirl. They wanted to do this. Electoral ballot harvesting, ballot counting for any ballot that came in after November 5th. That they would count it secretly over the weekend. Are you understanding this? Mail-in ballots come in that are not postmarked. They just show up after November 5th, and they're taken to 5 separate, okay, at least in Fulton County, 5 separate counting locations to count the ballots. And also Clayton County participated as well. Here's the thing. We have internal memos sent out where they say, okay, we can't keep the Republican observers out of the parking lot, but you have armed guards use them to keep them out of the voting count. So you have an illegal voting counting station set up, and you have armed guards keeping out Republican observers to observe them. Well, thank God Republicans were Johnny on the spot, They had the lawyers, boom, took it to the courts, boom, totally thrown out, totally dismissed. This is no joke. So whenever anyone says, well, Democrats didn't cheat in 2024, no, they did. They got busted.
Well, let me just say a couple things about so when we start looking at the election results, here are a list of states that haven't completed their count yet. Okay.
All Democrats. All Democrats.
Well, no. Alaska has only counted 80%. But Alaska, if you remember, it's the biggest state, and plus the logistics of it up in the northern part of it are almost impossible to traverse. So I can see that. But let's go to Arizona. Arizona is at 93% right now. This has got to be the most incompetent state in the entire flipping union. California.
Yeah, because they're trying to swing it for they're trying to swing it against Kerry Lake, which looks like they succeeded.
I agree.
They should
California, 73%. Colorado, 94%. The District of Washington, flipping D.C., 92%. Let's see here. Florida, who just had a hurricane blow through it, 99%.
Boom. Right away.
Yeah.
Dude, spot on. Dude, Florida should be the model. Oh, by the way, guess what? It's voter ID, mandatory voter ID. Your voter ID is scanned. Your signature, has to match what's on your driver's license, or they throw you out of line. They say, get the
Illinois, 98%. Go get a hold of your voter. There's still 2% out. Maryland, 87%. Notice
slow the count.
Controlled states, by the way. Minnesota, 99%. Way to go, Minnesota.
That's because they already know they lost. So
Harris, yeah, their buddy Stolen Valor Waltz is there. Let me see here. New Hampshire's 99%. New Jersey, 94%. 94. What are you doing? New Mexico's 99%. New York, 96%. So all of these Oregon, 86%. Are you kidding me? All of these states that Trump won, red states. Oh, wait, hold on. Utah. Okay, here's an outlier, 86%. Let's see. Washington State, 92%. Wisconsin, 99%. West Virginia, Trump, 99%. Wyoming, not Wyoming, 98.97%. They stopped listing it after they reached 99%. So you can see the majority of these blue states still haven't completed their vote count yet. So when I say that there is a chance that Kamala, I mentioned this to Rad, might win the popular vote, that possibility is, I don't want to say it's real. She still has the pathway to do it. But even with that, it's still not going to come close to the 81 million votes that Joe Biden supposedly got in 2020.
Well,
so
exactly.
We've been vindicated as election deniers, as we like to be called.
Well, that's the thing, Eric. The lefties are saying that this is not a free and fair election because Kamala did not get those 81 million votes that Joe Biden got. They're saying these people that Starlink. This is another funny thing. Evidently, Starlink was used for their internet communications in some of these rural areas that were counting the votes, so they could transmit their tallies, okay, and they could make it more, Here's what they don't understand: these are communication satellites. They have nothing to do with tabulating or counting votes. But they say that Starlink was used to count votes. No, it wasn't. That is completely untrue. Either way, they're idiots. But either way, what they're saying here is that we Republicans cheated, okay, now because all of a sudden there are 10 to 13 million less voters that voted for Joe Biden that didn't come out for their Queen Kamala. Okay, wait a second. Well, maybe those votes that never existed, as we have shown, seriously, there has never been a point in time where 81 million people voted for anyone.
We have seen one estimate that says
something's playing there. Okay, anyway.
I have a video clip I want to. Okay, so
wait. Let me just finish up. My rant with my man in the show. Okay. All right. Okay. But again, what they're saying is that they don't see these of 10 to 13 million votes. They see this as somehow Starlink, okay, disappeared these votes and then destroyed the satellites for some reason. Okay. Bottom line is this: no. Those 13 million votes never existed. They were made up by Democrats. Totally made up by Democrats. By mail-in voting, they're fraudulent, whatever. We can't prove it.
Oh, we
the
can't.
numbers don't lie. Huh?
Okay, we can't prove it, Rad. We could prove it if the courts would allow people to have standing. The courts completely down because they were afraid of the judicial branch getting in the way of the executive. Yep. And think about that. This is what third world countries do. Yep. They have judges that are appointed by some ruler or whatever, stepping in and giving people standing and saying, calling the election illegitimate, and then installing the leader that appointed them. That's what the Supreme Court was ultimately afraid of. They did not want it to look like, well, Trump installed, who did he put in there?
Tony Barrett, whatever. But
the woman, good Lord, come on.
Tony Barrett, whatever, I don't know. Anyway,
he did not want to make it look like, well, they're now voting to keep the president that put him in there.
But point being is this: when I say we can never prove it, I mean we can never prove it because they destroyed all the evidence by now.
Kavanaugh, Gorsuch, and Amy Coney Barrett. There we go.
Yeah, but either way, all the evidence has been totally and completely destroyed now. They've destroyed all the physical ballots. They've destroyed everything. All evidence has been purged and destroyed. You will never be able to.
Okay, let's move on to the transition team, and then we're going to talk about the Senate races, and then we'll talk about the House. All right, transition. This is ice cold right here. I love this. This is exactly what we need.
Boom!
We have seen one estimate that says it would cost $88 billion to deport 1 million people a year.
I don't know if that's accurate or not.
Is that what American taxpayers should expect?
What price do you put on national security? Is it worth it?
Is there a way to carry out mass deportation without separating families?
Of course there is. Families can be deported together.
We have seen one estimate that says
that is cold-hearted. That is exactly who we need in charge of our border. And this is who Trump's not putting him in charge of. I'm not sure. He's not putting him into a cabinet level position, because if he goes into a cabinet level position, Department of Homeland Security, head of one of the alphabet soup agencies, he was in charge of the ICE, Immigration Customs and what is that? It doesn't matter. I don't have to East Enforcement. Thank you, Steve.
If he was
I'm a little too familiar with them.
Yeah, if he was in the cabinet, he'd have to be approved by the Senate.
Right.
But being the czar, he doesn't have to be.
Exactly. You're exactly right. That avoids going through the Senate confirmation process. And this is the thing. This is what we need to remember. How critical it was for Trump to win, or the Republicans to win control of the Senate. Because when Trump makes appointments, those appointments to his cabinet have to go to the Senate. The advice and consent clause of the Constitution requires this. And so when they go before the Senate, if you have a democratically controlled Senate, or a Senate controlled by Chuck Schumer and the Democratic Party, then what happens is he can hold up these appointments if he wants to, because he has a majority there, despite the fact that Republicans always play above the fray and say, look, the president won the election. The president gets to decide who he wants to be in his cabinet, regardless. We just have to be sure that they are qualified to do that. So when Republican presidents try to put somebody in, all the Democrats vote against them because they say they're too radical, they're too extreme, blah, blah, blah. Homan, you could legitimately make the argument that this guy is very radical, very extreme, and you would get into the Senate and they would shoot it down. Even you would have some limp-wristed Republican, like, let's say, John Toon, or what's the guy from Utah? Romney's not in there anymore, thank goodness. But you would have limp-wristed Republicans in there, rhinos, that would vote against him. But now that he's going to be the border czar, focused strictly on deportations, what I'm afraid of, is that it's just going to take one instance of bad publicity where somebody they're going to separate a parent from their child, and they're going to be crying, and all these tears are going to be on the national news, despite the fact that the parent broke the law by coming into the country illegally. Forget all that. We have tears, and people are going to be upset about it. Well, you know what? If you wouldn't have carted your child 800 miles across the border, risking your life, their life, to get here, because you wanted a better opportunity. Everybody, if that was the sole criteria to have people allowed into our countries because they want a better opportunity, why not just invite the entire world? The best way to do it is to institute policies of our country to enable those other countries to have better economic opportunities, and not some type of dictatorship like you have in Venezuela, for God's sake. Okay.
Did you see what he said though to AOC when she asked him about the family separation thing? He said, that you're going to separate children from their families. And he said, you know what? If I'm driving and I'm drunk and I get stopped for a DUI, I'm going to be separated from my child too for breaking the law.
Yeah, I remember watching that. I think that clip has been replayed. I think I have it here, as a matter of fact. I do. Watch this. Look at that. Man, am I getting better at this or what? Don't say what. Here we go. There we go.
On this, is this correct?
Yes, I signed that memo.
So you are the author of the family separation policy.
I am not the author of this memo.
You're not the author, but you signed the memo.
Yes, a zero tolerance memo.
So you.
Eric, can you turn that up?
To Secretary Nielsen.
I can't figure out how to do that.
I gave numerous recommendations on how to secure the border and save lives.
But it says here that you gave her numerous options, but the recommendation was option 3, family separation.
What I'm saying, this is not the only paper where we've given the secretary numerous options to secure the border and save lives.
And so the recommendation of the many that you recommended family separation.
I recommended zero tolerance.
Which includes family separation.
The same as is with every U.S. citizen parent gets arrested when they're with a child.
Zero tolerance was interpreted as the policy that separated children from their.
If I get arrested for DUI and I have a young child in the car, I'm going to be separated. When I was a police officer in New York and I arrested a father for domestic violence, I separated that father from his
Mr. Holman,
family.
with all due respect, legal asylees are not charged with any crime.
When you enter the country illegally, it's violation 8 United States Code 1325.
Seeking asylum is legal.
If you want to seek asylum, you go through the port of entry, do it the legal way. The Attorney General of the United States has made that clear.
Okay.
Yeah,
He destroyed her.
he body slammed her. I mean, that's classic. This is the guy that's going to be in charge of the border. This is the right guy. Now, let me ask you guys a question. I'm going to throw this out here because there's been a lot of talk, specifically over the last couple of days, about Trump appointing Mike Pompeo to a cabinet level position. Have you guys heard of the anti-Pompeo movement, or do you guys have any type of reservations against that at all? Anybody?
I haven't really heard about that.
I haven't heard, but I want to make a quick point. The Democrats want people or the women to abort their babies, but they're encouraging or going freaking out about, oh, all these poor children don't have their mommies or daddies.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's like counterintuitive. We want you to kill your child before it's born, but we want you to be able to stay with your child even when you commit a crime. I mean, it makes absolutely no sense at all. I see a comment here. May Israel, what is this? May Israel state and end like bar. What is that? Like?
May Israel state and like bar kokba.
What is that? Bar kokba. What is that?
They don't want Israel to be a state at all.
Oh, that's kind of a neat name. Way to go. That's original. Whether Democrat or Republican supporting Israel is not right. No, actually supporting Israel is the right thing. To always support the civilized man before the savage. If you support Hamas, you're supporting the savage. The savage will always turn on you, just like they've always, like we see with what the savages of the Hamasals have done to the people of Gaza. There hasn't been an election in Gaza in 20 years, folks. And the reason why is because it's run by a bunch of savages. So when it says supporting Israel is not right, no, it is the right thing to do. Support the civilized man before you support the savages, like the Hamasals.
Amen.
Well, of Hezbollah. Go ahead.
I was just saying amen to that, brother.
Oh, I didn't know. Okay. Sharon says, may, what is this? Islamic State. Oh, may all Islamic states end. Okay, there we go. That's yeah, there you go. Bar Kappas was a Jewish revolutionist in the Romans. Oh, that's right. Golly, I knew exactly what you're saying. Okay. You're exactly right. That was 137 AD, somewhere around there. The Bacalaureate Revolt. Yeah, you're exactly right. I'm sorry. I don't know why the history guy didn't catch that. Well played. Okay, so let's talk about the Senate real quick. The Senate, they flipped 3 seats. It was 51 to 49, and now, it was 50-50, if I'm not mistaken. And
it was a tie-breaking vote.
Right. And actually, it wasn't even 50-50 because 2 of the senators were independents, Bernie and that one, well, actually 3 of them, Bernie, Manchin, and what's her nuts out of Arizona that didn't run again this year. So, but they caucused with the Democrats, and this is why the Democrats had a majority. The Democrats will not have a majority in the Senate, which is, like I said, a godsend for Trump. And this is because you guys, everybody knows exactly what's going to happen. You know what's going to happen. Just as soon as he gets in office, the media is going to be after his butt every single night on every little thing that happens in the administration. The Democrats are going to try to block everything he can do. And this is why it's critical for the Republicans to win the House also, which, by the way, you need 218 to have a majority. And right now, the Republicans need 4 more Congress.
We got it. We got it.
I agree, but I don't like it going this long. I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous. And the majority of those races that have not been decided, you never guess what state they're from, Steve.
Californication.
Yeah.
I told you.
One of them is from Iowa. That's where I'm from, and that's actually where I actually when I lived in Iowa. That isn't from the district where I lived in. That's too far south.
But there's a law here that when a dead person votes, that we have to go back and make sure they're still dead. And so
you do that with a DNA test or what? What do you do?
I'm kidding, but it is California, and it's like they say they got still 5 million ballots to count.
How much? Say that again.
They still got 5 million ballots to count.
Yeah, that's very important. Count them all 6 or 7 times until you miscount and somebody with a D next to their name wins. What is this? What is this? Israel would kill Jesus, Muhammad, in the various world religion scripture. Zakir Knight.
Okay, please tell me you don't believe a man who says Homo sapiens is extinct, Mr. May Israel. It means we're all extinct.
Well, to be fair, the Jews at the time did hand over Jesus to the Romans who crucified him. And I swear I wish the Jews in Saudi Arabia would have had the power to kill Muhammad. I'm just saying that could have solved a lot of world's problems. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Okay. I want to bring up the House races here. I'm not blowing off what you guys were saying. I just have this on my mind. I'm looking at these House races. Fox. What is this? This isn't what I was at. Here we are. Battles, control, House. Here we go. House. Let me put this up here on the screen. Present, share. Okay. Now, if you look at the House races themselves, you can see you got 214, 204. You need 218 to control for majority. And there's one House race in Iowa that has not been decided yet. And if you look, can you guys see that? Is that too small?
We can see it. We can see it.
Yeah, okay. So the Republican has won by a total of 700 votes out of a total cast of 400,000. And this is basically what happened in 2020, where she only won by like 600 votes or whatever. It was a very small margin. So by law, they have to go back and recount it. But this lady has won the Iowa vote. So that would make this number up here 215, leaving these counties out here in California necessary in order to for the Republicans to take the House. So this
look
one
at the math, Eric. Look at the math here. Okay, we need 218, right? Okay, 218, right, to control the House.
Right.
Okay, we got 214. They got how many votes right now? How many delegate or congressmen right now?
214. They need 4 more. That one from Iowa. And this is what I want to
Republicans do, but how many do Democrats need?
They need a butt ton. They need 12.
Right.
No, 14.
So we just need 4. We just need 4. We're going to get those 4.
Right here. This one right here. Look at this one here in Washington State. The way that they run their election in Washington State, they have a primary, and whoever gets the most votes, the 2 people who get the most votes, they run against each other. In this district right here, it was 2 Republicans. So regardless of who wins this vote here in Washington, it's going to be Republicans. So that puts it at 216. So that means that they need 2 more votes. Out here, the Democrat is ahead. Iowa, the Republican is ahead. Here in Ohio, the Democrat is ahead. Here in Colorado, the Republican is just barely ahead. Down here in Arizona, the Republican is ahead. So there's a lot in the votes, or the ones that have been out there, like this one here in Alaska, for crying out loud. So it's almost, and I agree, Rad, it's almost a certainty that the Republicans are going to hold the House. But the fact is that we should not be a week into this already without this being decided. This is just absolute lunacy.
Exactly.
I mean, especially being supposed to be the most civilized and sophisticated, industrialized country in the world.
And notice all these states are all Democratic-controlled states. Also notice they do not have mandatory voter ID. As a matter of fact, in California, it is illegal to ask them if you have ID.
Yeah. Come on. Well, who would pass that? Steve, where are you, Steve? Steve, why do they have that
right here?
Why do they have a law against even asking for voter ID in California? What are you doing out there?
Yeah, it's because you guys are a bunch of racists. I'm trying to be nice here. You're just a bunch of racists, okay? It's like, it's going back to that time. There was a time in this country, if you can just imagine, when people had to walk around with papers to prove that they were legal Americans. And I mean, carrying those papers, terrified, scared. You know how it hurt? They were terrified. They couldn't sleep at night sometimes because they were so scared they're going to lose those papers. They had to carry the papers. They even started calling people who didn't carry the papers, they called them WAPs, which means without papers. And you guys are trying to bring that back. So, yeah.
That's funny. Okay. Let's see here. We got
Wait. Hold on, Hussein. You left out that actually required people to have ID disproportionately affects Black people for some reason, because evidently they can't get IDs, and especially black trans women of color, the most vulnerable amongst us all. They are the queen and the king of the oppression Olympics, literally. So evidently this is the problem, that for some reason they just can't get IDs. I don't understand it. Yeah. So anyway, continue on.
I just looked at this link up here. Hold on. Talk amongst yourself. I got a phone call. Hold on.
Well, Hussein, Steve, let me ask you this, dude. Okay. Proposition, what was the proposition that now makes it a crime to actually steal stuff in California passed, right?
Yeah, no. Now they make it. They made it a crime again.
Right. It's a good thing
because it got so. I think what happens. California is the edge of the spear of the insanity of America, and America goes all the way, and then it comes back. The pendulum swings. It swings all the way to the West Coast, and then it starts swinging back. And California just went off the edge. And with this $999 thing, you can steal up to that much. And then people just said no. And they started getting rid of all of the those Soros DAs. They're losing everywhere. So
no, there is hope. But Gavin Newsom is still your governor. I do not understand this. Okay? This is a lunatic. This is a psychopath. This is a dude that literally, there's an interview. Do you know why he got in politics, Steve?
Yeah.
There's an interview with Adam Carolla. Okay,
yeah.
Go find this interview where Adam Carolla just totally crucifies him. Okay, in a good way. But no, the reason why, according to Gavin Newsom, the reason why he got into politics was because of government regulations. He got out of high school. He got out of college. And he wanted to open up a wine store. And he opened up this wine store in some ritzy part of California, don't know where it was, where they sold wine. And the floors were all carpeted, okay? Carpeted. They were carpeted, okay? But according to Gavin Newsom, he got fined because there was a regulation that said every business had to have a slop bucket. You know, the old school, well, not old school, but if you ever worked in a restaurant, you know the slot bucket. It's a big bucket, okay, with a big mop, okay, and it's the slop bucket. That's what you use to mop up the floor, okay. But every place that sold anything, commercial wise, food wise, had to have a slop bucket. And he was like, "Where am I going to use a slop bucket? I got all carpeted floors," and it didn't matter because they still had to have the slop bucket. And he got fined for it, so he had to go out and buy a slop bucket. But he says at that point, that's why I wanted to run for governor, because I wanted to get rid of all these regulations. Well, this dude gets to be governor in the politics. Well, anyway, every position he's had, he's increased regulations against businesses. This dude is a total lizard person. He's a total hypocrite. I do not understand why he's still governor, and he is actually a contender, according to the Democratic Party, to be the next president of the United States of America in 2028, which, no, that will not happen. I'm just saying. People in California, man, you're going to ruin the rest of the country. I'm just saying. I don't like that. But continue on. Anyone? Eric, you there? Eric, you're muted. If you're talking to us, you're muted.
I'm sorry. I'm looking at these counties out here. Look at it. 63% counted here. 60, not even 61%. 66%. 77%. Oh my goodness. Here you have 83%. Wow. Don't hurt yourselves. 70% in here. Another 70% in here. I mean, this is ridiculous. But here's what I was pointing up here in Washington. 2 Republicans running against each other, Republican win. Look at here in Maine. You have 726 votes separating these 2 people with almost 400,000 votes cast. That is really, really close. That's not quite as close as 6 million in Florida in 2000, separated by 600 votes, but that's pretty close. This one again is also really close. That's
why down balloting matters, dude. I mean, seriously.
Absolutely right. Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah. So when we start looking at these numbers here, it does look good for the Republicans taking back control of the House and maybe taking back even a larger majority in which they had prior to the election, which is really important, especially if you have a laundry list of policies that you want to implement and ideas that you want to implement, like Trump does. You have to have both houses in order to do that. So it looks like Trump's going to be able to have that. Again, he's only going to have less than I would say less than a year to get it done, because then you're going to swing right back into the 2026 election cycle, and you're going to have an entire media. And if you look at the media during this last election, 98% of the stories about Trump were negative, where over 80, I don't think it might have been in the 90s % of the stories about Harris were positive.
Yeah.
If you think that Trump's going to get a fair shake in your mainstream media on your TV, it's not going to happen. Go to these new alt media sources like X, Rumble. I would say go to Rumble, not YouTube. Rumble. They do a really good job with it, especially with. You guys know who Dan Bongino is?
Yeah, he's good.
He is like thought on there. He's got a daily show he does on Rumble, and he's has major owners of it.
And you know, one thing that you know what though, this negative press is actually good, because what it does is it shows everybody that yes, they really are a bunch of left-wing biased reporters, you know, and they know that somebody's pulling the puppet strings when it's so obvious. And then for me, I'll tell you, the Hunter's laptop of this election was Doug Emhoff. beating up that woman.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And they and ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, all of them, New York Times, Washington Post, they all covered for him.
Right.
And it's like, that's where you say, you know what, you guys are up to something here. And so,
yeah, if you guys don't know the story, Kamala Harris's husband, two big things. Number one, he was divorced from his first wife because he knocked up the nanny for his children. He got her pregnant, and then something happened. Don't know what, but she never carried the baby to term, and he ended up getting a divorce from his first wife. That would have been the first gentleman in the White House. And the second thing is that it was alleged, and of course it was alleged, that prior to meeting Kamala, he had taken a girlfriend of his to the Cannes movie festival or whatever it was in France and hit her in the face so hard it spun her around. And the corroborating evidence for this is that she jumps into a taxi cab. He gets in the cab with her. She's so terrified, she calls a friend back in New York City or something. I can't remember where the guy was from, but a guy friend telling him what had happened. Now, when Emhoff was asked about this, he didn't deny it. He said something on the lines, well, you can't believe everything you hear, and I unequivocally support women's rights or something. He didn't deny it.
Yeah, he said it was a distraction. A distraction.
That's what he called it?
Focused on winning. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it was a statement of denial. Bottom line is this: the woman that he slapped has gone on record officially with the Daily Wire, or was it the Daily Mail? I forget which one. Gone on record saying this is what happened. She is actually a registered Democrat. She is actually a high-priced, powerful attorney. Okay, in this world. Okay, so no, this is not someone who is just all of a sudden some 18-year-old gets, or 18 or 20-something-year-old gets a executive position and then decides because her boyfriend encourages him or encourages her to sue the exec and say, hey, let's get the $125,000 settlement for sexual harassment, and you will never work again, and you will be ruined. You know what I mean? No, this is a high-priced woman. Okay, but bottom line is this: not only did he smack her in public, it was just onset rage because she put her arm around the valet to get her car, and he just walks up and he just smacks her.
Right.
Okay. No,
Steve's point that it was covered up by the media is the point that we're focused on here. You're absolutely right, Rad. What had happened is that this is blatant, but the fact that the media is not reporting on it, and this is why nobody is trusting them anymore, because of blatant hypocrisy, just like this, burying important stories. And then you flash back to 2020 with the computer with Hunter, and not saying anything about. And this is one of the things that
every one of them, Trump needs to remove their top secret clearance, all clearances. Every one of those 58.
Well, this is one of the arguments against Pompeo was that he was the head of the CIA. It wasn't at the time, but he was the head of the CIA and could have just easily spoken out more specifically.
Yep.
And to say this is not true, and he didn't. And the second criticism of Pompeo is that when Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate was what's the word I'm looking for here? They went in and they shook it down. Raided. There we go. There's the word. Raided. Went in and raided. Pompeo's first knee-jerk reaction was to say something on the lines that, well, this is a pretty serious thing, and if he's storing, documents there, of course he needs to be prosecuted. So he didn't come to defense. So with friends like that, who needs enemies, right? So this is why they're arguing against Pompeo. But the point I was trying to make is that Pompeo could have been very vocal in Hunter's laptop when the media there was a full court press to suppress that then, and just as there was a full court press to suppress the Doug Imhoff case not today, and people clearly see through that, how biased the media is and how unhinged they are and how completely out of touch. I mean, how out of touch they are. There was a video clip, and I'm going to find it while you guys talk amongst yourself, of a student from the University of Oregon, staff. It wasn't a staff, Trump voters. Listen, it's sick. Here we are. Trump voters. I'm going to see if I want you to listen to this guy. This guy is flipping nuts. Defines a statement. Okay, here's what he said on video. This is a staff. This guy works for the University of Oklahoma. I'm not sure in what capacity it is, but he was fired. He's made a video on TikTok or whatever it was. Video lambasting. Okay, here's this. You can literally go F yourself, said the word fuck, yourselves if you voted for Donald Trump. If you are so sad about your groceries being expensive, listen to what this guy says. Get a better effing paying job. Do better in life. Get a effing education. Do something because you're effing stupid. And I hope you go jump off a effing bridge. This is the level of thought. I mean, listen to what he's saying. He's saying you're complaining. If you're complaining because about grocery prices, just go get a better job. I mean, what's wrong with you? It's like, give them cake from the czarist era during World War I. Well, you don't have enough bread to feed the soldiers. Well, or the peasants, give them cake.
That was Marie Antoinette, man.
Oh, was it? Okay, whatever it was. I mean, think about that. This is the same thing. Oh, you don't have enough money to pay for groceries? Get a better job. This is these people are living on the lower rung of society, and they can barely, be employable at the job that they have now. And now you're saying, well, get a better job so you can pay more money for groceries. Really, dude? This is the level of hatred and irrationality that we have to deal with. And this is just in politics. This isn't even dealing with Islam. We haven't even talked about Islam. The only thing we talk about Islam is this may Israel state end like
yeah, he left.
What happened?
He left. He said
left?
bye.
I did click links, buy and take care of people. Okay. This person's been on before, and I've invited them to come onto the show, but I think English is a second language for them. And my rule, I think most of you know this, is people post whatever they want in chat as long as they're not disrespecting Jesus Christ. If they start, disrespecting Jesus Christ, well, then of course we're gonna give you the boot. But like what's his nuts? The dancing hyena, wherever. What's that guy's name? Aladdin. If Aladdin, let him post. I mean, the guy makes a fool of himself every time he comes in here. Let him post. That's always a good thing. Okay, so we are past the 7 o'clock hour. I wanted to show this right here. This was I brought this up last time we were going to do a show. I think I did anyway, and I was just blown away by this. Here is a study that was done on American Muslims. Let me make this bigger so everybody can see this. Big. Okay. 1 year after Hamas terrorists in Gaza invaded Israel, raping women and slaughtering more than 1,100 people, including infants, and after video evidence of the slaughter has spread across the world, a shocking percentage of American Muslims deny these facts and harbor disgusting anti-Semitic attitudes. Okay, let's look at this number, folks. let's see, when asked which statement comes closest to view, more American Muslims selected Hamas did not commit murder and rape in Israel on October 7th than Hamas committed murder and rape in Israel on October 7th. 39%. Folks, that is 4 out of 10 denied Hamas murders and rapes. At the same time, only 31% admitted that this happened. And another 30%, like Scooby-Doo, oh, they don't know. Which they do know, but they're just not admitting it. That is scary. That is the state of Islam in our country today.
You know, I want to make a point here. For all the Muslims that say this didn't happen, how do you know? Because you weren't there.
I do know that it happened because I was there.
Well, we've heard that before. And Issa even had a good debate with that fella. Were you there? Aisha was at 9. Were you there? Did you know? You remember that line? That was.
Wait, Issa, do you still have? Wait, Issa. So, well, this is the funniest thing. Okay, I'm just getting back into this because I had a little eruption here at the house. But I just get back into this. But I remember. Okay, so Issa and I told you don't do this, but you did it anyway. You debated David Wood as a Muslim. You remember this? And Kenny and now before this, him and Kenny, they had a good friendly-ish relationship, right, Issa? That's correct. You guys were kind of friendly-ish, cordial to each other. Issa, you there?
That's true. Hello? That's true. Yeah. That's right.
But then he has this debate. With David Wood. And what happened with Kenny?
Oh, he kicked me to the curb.
Oh no, Kenny, dude, you gotta bring up, those text messages have to live in infamy because no, it was just completely. I knew you were fake. I knew you were fraud. I hate you. I mean, no, he totally attacked Issa. It was totally, completely satisfying, I should say, at least to me.
Yeah, he crucified me.
Yeah, he did.
Why would he do that? Why did he do that?
I don't know.
Because I called people dawahghandists. I said people are dawahghandists.
Okay, it sounds like Ethan's in a crowd and doesn't want to talk too loud. I don't blame him. It's, okay. So, do we have anything else that we want to talk about, or can we call it a night, folks?
I just want to say one thing about what's going on in Amsterdam. And,
yeah.
I got that. Yeah, I got that. Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say there's a writer at the New York Times, the communist, atheistic, secular, satanic New York Times. But this guy is sometimes halfway decent, okay? And he's almost a counterweight to Thomas Friedman, who's the left-wing Jew at the New York Times. And Bret Stephens, I don't know if you guys read this, after that attack that happened in Amsterdam, he wrote this. He said, Jews, beleaguered Jewish communities in Europe, get out while you still can. When I heard him say that, man, I said, dude, this might be more scary. And today they had more attacks. I tell you what, this is scary because it's so easy to ignite Jew hatred. And so I think this is a scary deal.
Yeah, so I just put this up from Acts. This just came in my feed probably 30 minutes before the show started. Evidently in Amsterdam, Muslims are firebombing trains. L trains or whatever, electric trains, commuter trains, with Jews on them, So yeah, this is happening kind of right now tonight. Okay, they're not playing around. This is a complete and total program that is happening in Amsterdam today. Let me see. Here we go. Rioting broke out. This is according to Andy. Now, if you can't read it, rioting broke out in Amsterdam on November 11th. That's today. As groups of Muslims are setting infrastructure on fire. The violence believed to be connected to last week's brawls, where pro-Gaza extremists roamed the city, looking for Israelis following a soccer match. Yeah, so this is all happening right now. Dave Rubin is also posting the same thing from the Israeli War Room. Yeah, so it's getting pretty bad in Amsterdam. Just saying.
I wanted to add one thing too. What you had mentioned something earlier about that Hamas didn't like attack Israel. Like they said, there's no proof. Like I actually did go there. I went to kibbutz near Yitzhak, and I saw the bullet holes. And they killed Arabs, they killed Palestinians, they killed everyone, and you can see all the wreckage is there. I went to the kibbutz, and there was a 25-year-old chief of security. He replaced the other chief of security who was killed. So I saw it. It's real, and I can't believe it. I can't believe that people are gaslighting murder. It's grotesque.
You know, I think there's something here. If I could just, this is kind of crazy, but I think that when you want to believe something, even when your eyes see it, you won't believe it, because these guys weren't concealing what they did. They videotaped it. They were bragging about it on social media. But if you don't want to believe it, you and I think because I hear from people about this, well-meaning people, they just don't want to believe that the Palestinians could have done this. They don't want to believe the Palestinians could have done this. And so they want to say, no, this didn't happen. It was the Jews who came and did their that thing where the helicopters will kill 20 Jews to get one terrorist or something. I can't remember what the name of that thing is, that program. But it's really an amazing thing. You see it with your eyes and you still choose not to believe it.
Yeah, and it's anything to who I can't remember who we had on the show, but they were telling us that if anything would hurt the Ummah, you can't admit it, or you can't say it's true, or you have to deny it, or something along those lines. And this is exactly what we're seeing here, and it really is disgusting. Especially, I can understand I can't understand, but let's say you're from Pakistan, you're going to believe that type of garbage. Or if you're from Afghanistan, any of those stands, you pick a stand, Suckistan, or whatever. But here in Kafiristan, here in the United States, for people who are supposedly enlightened, tolerant, non-judgmental, just want to get along, denying something like that and having access to all of the media surrounding it and still denying it, that is, putting their religion over the truth. And I often struggle with trying to understand what it is like to have this mindset of a Muslim. And what I mean by it, I don't mean this to be intentionally offensive, but to think that a man who did what he did to Aisha when she was 9 years old. I mean,
she was 9 years old. She was 9 years.
And he was 53 when he did this. I just can't get it, especially to think that he was some type of example to follow. I just cannot. I mean, that is the one thing when we start talking about Islam that I just cannot wrap my mind around, how somebody would believe that somebody is an example to follow, knowing what he did to that little girl. And that is an example. If he did it, it's permissible. So when we start seeing stats like this, statistics like this, where they deny it, when we start seeing pogroms happening in Amsterdam out of sheer hatred towards the Jews, this program and others like it, even though we're not a very, I get it, we're not a very popular program. We don't get a lot of views, but we're consistent. We stay here and we keep chugging along, hoping some people will pick it up and watch our content. Okay, who has anything to add before we depart in peace?
I do. I want to thank everybody for coming, and please keep the Trump in prayer, but never forget, go to Jesus, not Trump, not anybody else.
Amen. Well said, Darcy.
Amen to that.
I
Pray
have
for
some
Trump.
too.
Well,
go ahead.
real quick for me. Pray for Trump because he's going to meet with Joe Biden in the White House on Wednesday. I do fear. I mean, seriously, they're inviting a fascist, according to Trump and Kamala, a fascist, somebody who is quote unquote literally Hitler, quote unquote, someone who is worse than Hitler, quote unquote, someone who's an existential threat to democracy, quote unquote, someone who is going to destroy democracy if he's elected, quote unquote. They're inviting him to the White House. I fear pray that he does not eat anything. Pray that that he gets out of there safely, because I mean that would be the perfect time where all of a sudden Trump has an accident, and we'll see. I don't think that's going to happen, but just pray for that. But I just want to end and conclude on this, okay, really quickly. Trump is not my Messiah. Trump is not my God. Trump is a flawed human being who, actually, I would like to meet him and talk to him. I hear he's quite funny. Okay, he's quite enjoyable to be around, and he's got great kids and a great family. But I'm not asking him to marry my non-daughter. I'm not asking him, okay, to preside over my future wedding or anybody's wedding. I'm not asking him to break bread and have communion with him. I'm asking him to be the president of the United States of America, to do the will of the people, and that is get rid of this complete insanity. Okay, of the Democrat left, and let's secure the borders. Let's bring down crime. Let's make our economy grow, and let's do things that benefit all Americans and actually the world. When we do good, the world does good, and that's all I want to say on that. Anyway, go ahead, Issa. Sorry, but go ahead.
No, you're good. So to talk about the election, I think whoever you voted for, it doesn't really matter, but we're a democratic nation and we have to get behind whoever's elected. This is how democracy works. You don't just get who you want. So it's super important that we come together and work together as a nation moving forward. That's my 2 cents on that. And on the other position about what's going on in Amsterdam is horrible. Anti-Semitism is real. It's a terrible, evil thing. It needs to be condemned and it needs to be stopped. I would say any racism, any prejudice needs to be condemned. Anti-whiteness needs to be condemned. Anti-brownness, anti-whatever, any anti-prejudice stuff is wrong and it should be condemned. I think right now we're at a really intense moment where we see a lot of gaslighting, where people say horrible things didn't happen. They did happen. And instead of trying to erase them, be accountable for them, I think that's how we're going to grow. And that's how we're going to be better human beings. And that's the goal, is to be a better human being. So that's the important thing to consider. Thank you. Peace and blessings.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Issa. I hope you sound kind of sickly.
I am. I'm getting through it. Pray for me.
Okay. I hope you feel better soon. It's not the COVID. Well, no, COVID is so 2022. I'm just saying we're done with that. Anyway, no. Actually, one last thing I want to say real quickly here. I'm sorry, Eric. But evidently, the lefties, especially the women, they're shaving their heads. They're wearing blue bracelets or purple bracelets or blue bracelets, and they're getting either blue heart tattoos or they're painting their nails with the blue heart so they can recognize each other, to feel safe around each other. I'm saying these are your bartenders, these are your waitresses, okay, that you interact with if you go to restaurants. I'm just saying, if you see this, if you see the blue heart tattoo or the blue heart on the fingernail or the blue bracelet or resist. Oh, they're also doing resist tattoo on the wrist. I'm just saying this. Reflect that in your tip. Tell them, don't let them know what they could have been tipped, and tell them that you are donating that tip money to a pro-life organization of your choice, and sit back and film the freak out. But do that after you eat. I'm just saying, and never go to that restaurant again. I'm just saying, do that. Tell them, I am donating my $20 tip to a pro-life organization because you are a complete lunatic and a nutcase, and I'm doing that because of you in your name. Thank you very much. And sit back and record the freak out. It will be glorious. It will be great. I'm just saying.
Yeah, we have to get one of those body cams that we sent to Steve to record his demise that he never got. Anyway,
no, he got it. It just never.
Here's why he left. Wife alert. Got to go. Be blessed. Yep. And that's quite all right. All right, everybody. I appreciate you coming back. Welcome back after our 3-week sabbatical, and I apologize for that. It was mainly technical problems, but last week the Queen and I were on vacation in Florida. If you guys ever get a chance to go to Universal Studios, that's where we went. We went there 2 of the 3 days, and it's just absolutely. I'm a Harry Potter fan. I'm sorry, I admit it. And to go into that and see that, it was just, I don't know, it was just a lot of fun. So enjoy life. And we will see you back here next Friday. Not next Friday. What did I say? Next Monday on the Crescent Discussion Group. Thanks for coming and thanks for watching.
Advanced student and specialist, that the standard narrative has holes. That's what
that the Muslims were rioting against one another. And as much as we don't want to face the fact, the Muslims were lying sometimes. They were fabricating, they were embellishing, and that might be hard to accept, but that is a reality.